Good morning and welcome to another episode of Josh and Pat. I'm Joshua Klein, joined by Patrick Cassett, and in a must-win bounce-back game for the Lakers against the Nuggets, LeBron James was making plays like this.
Blocked by Davis, picked up by Schroeder, and saves it to Hachimura. James ahead of the pack, goes up. Oh, he lost control, and the crowd delights in that.
LeBron James, what we think about is we think about one of the most clutch players on the Lakers. And if we know anything, it's being up 11 in the third quarter and then losing by 5 in the fourth quarter. That's what a clutch player does, Josh.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, it was a bad performance for the Lakers. It was bad.
Not good, Josh.
And LeBron James shooting 1 for 20 from 3-point in the fourth quarter. I mean, he can't get anything going from 3.
Are we watching the downfall of LeBron's career at this point?
It's tough because you don't want to say that. Now, even as I am a LeBron hater. I will admit.
You are. You're out front of that. You get out front of that, Josh.
But I recognize he's a great player all time, right? He is a great player. That being said, I don't watch too many basketball games in the regular season. I have watched a fair amount of LeBron in this playoffs.
Big playoff guy.
And it has not looked good for
Not
LeBron
great.
James or the Lakers. I mean, but it's not just LeBron. Everyone's gonna hold LeBron accountable for the missed threes, the ball slipping out of his hands on the way up to take a dunk. But it's not just him. I mean, people are saying that Austin Reeves might be the second best player on the Lakers right now. And that's not just a shot at LeBron. That's just a shot at
the roster.
The whole team.
At the roster. Look, Austin Reeves is a good player. We got it. But if Austin Reeves is playing better than LeBron James, well, the Lakers are in trouble. Let's put it like this. This Lakers team is going to go as far as Anthony Davis can take them. We know that. That's how they are built at this point.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron James, look, I mean, he said it himself. Look, I think we improved from game 1 to game 2. You know, hey, that sounds great.
That's
right?
true. I mean, you're right. He's right about that. Yes, right?
I mean, you had an 11-point lead in the third quarter. I mean, that's great, right?
Yeah.
That's and if we can do the same thing from game 2 to game 3,
Yep.
we put ourselves in a position to win. And if we know anything about NBA basketball, it's not a series until someone wins at the opposing arena.
Exactly. So, and to be fair, you're right. Listen, Crypto Arena has been pretty strong in this playoff run. But that being said, fans are saying that they would rather have Russell Westbrook right now than D'Angelo Russell. And now maybe that's a minority of fans. But I think the point that they're making is
they're upset.
And I'm sure Russell Westbrook, I mean, what is he thinking right now? Is he good to play? Could they make the swap back?
Well, because I know he didn't have to change homes, or at least didn't have to go far.
He's still in L.A.
He's still in L.A. He's an L.A. guy. Went to UCLA. Played for the Clippers. Look, hey, we bring him back because if we know anything, the Lakers are so much better with Russell Westbrook.
Well, it can't hurt. I mean, at this point, I don't know if it can hurt. Well, it might be able to hurt still.
It could.
Bottom line is, I think that the Lakers playing bad obviously, I think it's the most prevalent thing that we got from the game. The other thing I got from, Nuggets are actually, they're very good.
Nuggets are good.
I mean, Murray dropping like 41
every time. All I heard last night was Murray for 3, bang. That was Mike Breen, but that's
I know that was really just loud.
Thank you. Yeah.
And Jokic, obviously, he's a freak. 3-time MVP in my books.
Yeah, because I think you have an asterisk on Joel Embiid this year because if we look,
we're not gonna. Well, we don't even need to.
We don't need to talk about that.
So hey, Lakers going to crypto. Maybe they can figure it out in Game 3. Tonight, Game 2 of Heat versus the Celtics. Obviously, Heat up 1-0. This game being played in the Garden.
TD Garden, not Madison Square.
In the second Garden number 2. And everyone's listen. It's hard not to be pulling for Jimmy Butler right now. Somebody made the argument on the internet the other day that this would be the hardest ring ever, and there is a point to that. I think Dirk's ring a little bit more difficult.
Yeah,
but either way, if somehow Jimmy Butler can pull this off, incredible. Just everyone's rooting for that.
Josh, Jimmy Butler has taken a group of below average players on a roster. Okay, look, there's some good players, but look, let's not forget the Heat are without Tyler Hero, and Jimmy Butler is wheeling and dealing this team now to a lead in the Eastern Conference Finals. This is the same Jimmy Butler that rose to the occasion in Chicago, Josh, that Minnesota hated. Let's not forget, Jimmy Butler took a group of third-string players in Minnesota Timberwolves practice and beat the starters with Karl Anthony Towns. Okay? Then he gets shipped to Philadelphia, and look, we know Philadelphia, great basketball city. They're great at getting to the conference finals.
Mm-hmm.
They say, you know what? We want Tobias Harris. We don't want Jimmy Butler. We want Tobias Harris. And then Jimmy Butler ends up down in Miami, makes his way to an NBA Finals, which may have an asterisk on it in the bubble. We're not going to talk about that. Not going to talk about that. But this year would be real deal.
It would be legit. I mean, that photo, that meme that has been ever since the photo was taken of Jimmy Butler exhausted.
Himmy Butler.
That literally is like, that's still happening right now. And we're all pulling for you, Jimmy, because the last thing we want is a Lakers-Celtics final.
That's the last thing we need.
That's the last thing we
Us as sports fans need to stand up to the NBA, which may or may not be rigged after the lottery results.
Lottery results, but we're talking about the Last Dance crew following LeBron. And
which is okay. The Last Dance crew following LeBron. No, this is not his last dance.
It's manufactured,
but this is not his last dance. Like, this is not his last year going to be playing in the NBA or for the Lakers.
Well, it's
there's a guy named Bronny James that I know is going to be in the league, not next year, but the year after that. And if I am right, I would think LeBron James would want to play with Bronny.
Well, what happens if LeBron James wins the championship this year? But Bronny goes to USC and like gets cut like first week. They're like, God, this guy sucks. Then does LeBron James just retire?
I don't think so. I don't see it happening, Josh.
Maybe not. Moving on to a sport that we have historically not covered on this show. And is there a reason for that? Probably. But it's hockey, NHL. The Panthers Hurricane game went to not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 OT last night.
And almost 5, Josh.
Almost 5, 16 seconds away from 5. This was a game that started at 8 o'clock, ended at 2 a.m. I mean, ridiculously late. If I was a first time viewer of the NHL,
I don't think I would have watched all 6 hours.
Do I make it to the end? And it's not like it was a high goal scoring affair. 2-2.
Well, 3-2 because of the goal, but still.
Yeah, 3-2. Well, 2-2 is what you're
right. You don't get right because you didn't score. You didn't score
Matthew
goals, right.
Tkachuk puts the final puck in the net to seal the game. But to be honest with you, Patrick, I mean, I guess it's significant. Is this like what we're supposed to happen? You're the hockey expert on this show.
As a hockey expert, there's one thing that I appreciate. It's Major League Baseball, and when there's extra innings, there's no time period on when the game could end.
Yes,
it's hey, who can score more runs in extra innings? But we'll play to inning 100 if we have to.
Yeah.
One thing I appreciate about hockey, hey, we'll play to OT period 100 if we have to.
I mean, to be fair, that's every sport in the playoffs. But continue.
That's a really good point. Yeah, it's a great point. Look,
every game has to.
Yeah, that's true.
It has to have a winner.
Yeah,
Continue.
look, what happened last night in Carolina is huge because no one probably watched at 2 a.m. I woke up this morning and said, oh, wow, it went to 4 overtimes.
Wow, yeah. I will say the biggest thing about this game that stands out to me was the graphic design team for both teams. They're on the screen now. We got the Carolina Hurricanes, which, by the way, completely should flip-flop.
Josh, I'm with you.
The fact that
I'm with you here.
A Carolina team's playing the Panthers and a Florida team's playing the Hurricanes makes no sense. It's why everyone thinks hockey is a joke.
It should be the Carolina Hockey Panthers versus the Florida Hurricanes. Because historically, Josh, Florida gets more Hurricanes.
Well, have you ever seen a Panther in Florida?
Especially Southeast Florida?
I don't think there's Panthers. There was. Listen, say what you want about whether Panthers are or are not in Carolina now. There was at one time Carolina Panthers. You look at a picture. There were actual massive Panthers in North Carolina. And sure, a hurricane will trot its way up the coast every once in a while to North Carolina. It happens. But in
Raleigh?
But where do they
like
start?
if there's going to be a Carolina hurricane, it should be on the beach.
Well, it's also, where's the hurricane coming from, right?
It's not coming from Raleigh.
It's not coming from Raleigh. It's coming from
south.
The Florida. That's where it's coming from. So it's like, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Here, winner of this series gets to call themselves the Hurricanes.
It's like if a bunch of a bunch of Oilers moved to the Baltimore, and they're like, well, we're the Baltimore Oilers. Mm-hmm. No, you're not. You're not. Houston people. You're from Houston. Doesn't make any sense. But the graphic design teams on these designs, shout out, great job.
Some
would say that went to 4OT.
That went to 4OT 100%. But they definitely would have scored more goals. I think they scored more goals. The graphic design scored more. It was like 8-8 going into overtime.
Yeah.
Not 2-2.
Yeah, pretty sick. Cool. NFL news. Tom Brady had a lunch with Michael Rubin, and then the top 4 picks at quarterback position. So we have Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson, and Will Levis kind of snuck his way into that lunch.
For a second-round pick to get invited. Hey, congrats to Will.
Good job, Will Levis. I mean, and so I wonder what was happening. I saw a couple clips about Tom Brady going, hey, man, when you got to work harder.
Gonna write down notes here, right?
Work harder, and when things get hard, it's about working harder, and so shout out to him. And then Michael Rubin was saying something. If I'm at a lunch with Tom Brady and Michael Rubin, I don't know if I would necessarily 100% care what Michael Rubin was saying, but he was there. He was there. Lunch.
He got the invite.
He's the biggest cloud chaser of all time. No disrespect to Michael Rubin. If you look at his Instagram feed, I mean, literally the day that the draft lottery was announced, it's like picks with Victor, just like, but that was happening. I wonder if Tom Brady was advising not to invest into crypto.
FTX definitely not.
We won't know. We weren't there. We just have to assume probably.
But Josh, how does this get set up, right? So if you're C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson, Will Levis, Bryce Young, you're all there.
Yeah.
Is this like an invite where you think it's like kind of off the books, or do you expect the cameras to show up? And maybe it's one of those situations where Tom was like, hey, let's sit down, let's have a chat. And then Michael Rubin's like, I gotta let people know that I'm here. How is the world gonna know if I'm here or not? Because I'm with Tom Brady right now, and Tom Brady is a big deal.
Exactly. So that's
probably why he brought the cameras.
Could have happened. It might have been cameras on half of it, cameras off half of it kind of deal. I don't know, but hey, shout out to those 4 players getting the chance to hang out with the GOAT.
Is Tom Brady a great person to talk to? Tom Brady drafted in the 6th round.
So he can't really relate to their experiences.
He can't relate to their experience of knowing what it is to sit in the draft room on draft night, because he's telling these guys to work harder. So if we run the numbers, and these guys being first and second round picks, if they work harder, they'll be the greatest quarterbacks of all time.
Probably. I agree with you, Patrick. Super Bowl 60 announced to be in San Francisco. Now, this is an interesting pick, but I mean, I guess California, every California city is going to have it at one point. Every California team is going to get a Super Bowl over the next 10 years.
Well, so the Bay Area, congrats to them.
Yes.
They're going to get a Super Bowl. Congrats to them. What we're not talking about is the Bay Area losing out on 3 sports franchises. Right? So the Warriors, the Oakland A's, the Oakland Raiders, but
it's Oakland.
But
we're talking about San
Bay
Francisco.
Bay Area. Josh, it's Bay Area.
We're talking about San Francisco.
It's the Bay Area here.
Okay.
So if we look at it, you bring in 1 Super Bowl, that makes up for the 3 sports franchises lost.
I guess so. I hope that Oakland fans see it like that. I think Oakland fans are they San Francisco fans? I guess they have to be, right?
I don't think so. That's like asking a New York Giants fan if they were to leave, am I going to be a New York Jets fan? And I don't feel that that's the same.
Maybe.
But
who are they rooting for in the first place?
Well, it's a good question. But if you look at your in-state rivals and you go down to Los Angeles, if you ask any Charger fan who they would be fans of if they left, and they would go, "Oh, I'm just fans of the league. I didn't really care in the first place."
Yeah, true. But Super Bowl 60 in San Francisco, good for San Francisco. Hopefully that's...
Do you think you run it back with Coldplay as the halftime performer? Super Bowl 50?
Maybe.
Super Bowl, well,
if we know anything about the halftime performances, Patrick, it's always like whoever's relevant, like kind of like 5 to 10 years
5 to 10 years ago. I'd say Rihanna's kind of an exception.
Outlier for sure. Is going to be, could also... I feel like 5-10 years ago is a great target for who's going to play.
Pitbull.
Pitbull would be
an awesome pick then.
Yeah. Cool. Last thing on the list, NASCAR All-Star Weekend is here at North Wilkesboro. Now, North Wilkesboro, Patrick, so you can remember,
thank you,
is the track, a historic track that NASCAR stopped going to, got ran down, and then Dale Earnhardt Jr. purchased it, revitalized it, and then slapped the All-Star race there. And if you're Dale Earnhardt Jr., it's a great money-making business, because I feel like...
Also, great PR move.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., he could probably, if he wanted to, just like build his own track, and then NASCAR would have to race there.
Yeah, because there would be enough fans that would be like, "Look, this is
we gotta go. We gotta go. Junior's track.
Hey, this is Junior's track. We gotta go."
And you're right. And so he kind of has a built-in fan base that really could just make him so much money. So good for Dale Earnhardt Jr. at just being able to do whatever he wants in the sport of NASCAR.
Whether it's Dirty Mo, whether it's NBC,
he shows up. If he shows up to the broadcast, they have to let him in,
and the ratings happen.
Yeah, so hey, good for Junior there. But the big story is this week, and I think we're going to play a new segment on the show, and it's a segment
I'm looking forward to it, Josh.
That honestly, it might happen every single week for the rest of the season. It's going to be, who will Chastain wreck this week? Or who will wreck Chastain this week? So that's the segment, Patrick. We're going to go through. We're going to list a couple drivers, and we're just going to talk about who will wreck Chastain this week.
Josh, sorry, go ahead.
No. You go ahead. Say what you want to say.
Josh, my favorite for someone to wreck, for Ross Chastain to wreck this week, I'm going with a Ford. I think Ryan Blaney shows up this week, and I think Ryan Blaney's hungry for a win, reigning All-Star champion, and Ross Chastain, he goes, nope, not this week. Not this week, and he takes them both out.
That is that's a really good pick. But for some reason, it's just telling me it has to be Chevy. It has to be. It has to be Chevy.
Maybe a guy from the Hendrick camp.
Well, I was thinking because now here's the thing.
Way to really go out on a limb here.
If I
it's almost like your weekly NASCAR prediction.
Well, hey, wow. All I'm saying is, they say things come in threes, right? And so, if I know anything, it's got to be Kyle Larson. Kyle, I mean, because and here's the thing: it's the only thing that might prevent Kyle Larson from going on a historic run here.
Him and Denny Hamlin are the only thing that has gotten in between Kyle Larson and an historic run.
Yeah, and so but it could be Larson, but I would say Larson's the best pick of.
He's a favorite.
If you're combining who he will wreck and who will wreck him.
Right. That's so if you're putting
that like
in a batch together,
like if out of all the drivers that he's got like the biggest target,
they're tied together 100%.
Because then you go, oh man, he might. But the question is, will a driver forfeit $1 million first of all, $1 million is a little bit less impressive these days. It was $1 million like 10 years ago.
I was like, that's cool. It needs to be $5 million.
Are we adjusting for inflation at all?
$5 million. I think $5 million would be winner gets $5 million. Hey, if I'm sitting there, I'm going, okay, $5 million right into my pocket. Let's take it. But $1 million not impressive.
Not as impressive today. I mean, I saw it's like Mr. Beast gave that away like a week ago.
And he'll do it again next week.
Exactly. But I think we still give our picks for this race. All-star race, obviously not everybody in the field. Patrick, who do you got?
I got Denny Hamlin this weekend.
Oh.
I think the Toyotas show up. Picking a guy that is looking for an all-star race win.
Yep. And
I think he's going to just stay out of trouble with Ross Chastain, and I think he'll sneak in and get that victory this weekend at North Wilkesboro.
I got a two-pick special.
Two-pick special?
Okay, number one is, and now this is simply because I am a believer that every sport is rigged to some degree.
And it's legally allowed to.
That's what they say. Every sport is rigged to some degree. Part one pick, Kevin Harvick, last all-star race.
The Fords don't have speed, Josh.
They don't have speed, but we don't know how these cars are going to handle North Wilkesboro.
I know that,
but
they don't have speed.
that's my strictly because I know when I'm betting on sports that sports are rigged to some extent. Now, my real pick is a guy who might
go on a historic
run here. And there's only one thing preventing him from potentially going on that run.
It's a one car.
It's one car. And so I got to go Kyle Larson here, Patrick. I think Kyle Larson might be able – I think he's going to be able to get this job done.
We know Kyle Larson.
He's been running in the top
short track
5
ace
every single race, aside from the races that he's been wrecked. Which is like half of them.
Just half of
He's won every race that he hasn't been wrecked.
Yeah, you start putting together the numbers and you go, well, hey, if this guy can just survive to the end of the race, he's probably going to be the winner.
Yeah, exactly. So I have to go with him. Cool. Anyway, guys, that is
what? That was like it's a training camp. It's training. It's like that was a swerve there. That was good.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's the show, guys. Make sure you guys subscribe if you have not already. But the biggest thing before you click off,
hey McDonald's.
If you guys DM us on Instagram at Picks and Pancakes, you can win. Not even win. You will win.
You will just receive.
Just receive a mug and also a free $10 McDonald's gift card where you can buy pretty much anything that you want as long as
up to $10.
Up to $10. US states only. And also make sure you guys go to picksandpancakes.com and read everything that's happening in sports. We'll see you Monday. Peace.